Please welcome the president of Vrbo and the co-leader marketing at Expedia Group, Jeff Hurst, in conversation with the founding editor and executive editor of Skift, Dennis Schaal.
Welcome, everyone. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Dennis. Thank you for having me. And to answer the title question slide, yes, Vrbo can keep the momentum going, so we can keep this short.
Well, we will get into that. And yes, Vrbo has been on quite a roll. But before we get into that, I wanted to get into a couple of hot button issues. So for example, in the last 24 hours, Airbnb, a company you might know, has been slammed on social media about price transparencies, cleaning fees, gotcha cleaning fees. People are saying, you know, they're going to stay in hotels because these cleaning fees are such a ripoff. These cleaning fees are set by hosts, of course. So how do you handle showing prices up front? Do you have the same problem as Airbnb? Do you do it differently?
I don't think we have the same problem. I do think we have some similar approach. What makes what highlights it in the use case difference is that we're selling whole homes. You know, we're typically catering to a family. There's typically people who are spending a little bit more money to get that whole home experience, probably slightly more premium. And in looking at that, there's less sticker shock as you think about how much of it was nightly rate versus cleaning fees. You know, we typically have a longer length of stay. All those things lead this to be slightly less of an issue. Now, we still work on it hard. We want it to be transparent. We do post an inclusive price on our search results page that includes your cleaning fees and your use fees. And so we've made a lot of progress on that. And we're constantly testing to be sure we've got an approach that works great for travelers and partners.
So, but it's not totally inclusive at this point. You're testing other things. Like, for example, sometimes you don't show the taxes up front.
That's right. Tax is something that can show up on checkout as opposed to in search results.
Got it. So Vrbo has been very aggressive in advertising this year in 2021. And you are about to launch, or if it hasn't already launched, a new campaign with John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, who's been slammed in the last week or so about alleged cyberbullying. Not great timing for you. I think Bloomingdale's reportedly pulled out of a campaign with her. So how does this impact your upcoming advertising campaign?
It doesn't. So we're thrilled with the campaign we're launching on Tuesday night. It is a real celebration of togetherness and seeing, you know, light at the end of the tunnel of the pandemic. We've got John Legend recreating a completely iconic song, and the casting is really. It's more than just being about Chrissy. It's about the Teigen Legend family. We've got grandma, we've got the kids, but more than anything, and this is a bit of the scoop, what we did in the creation was we actually filmed real life reunion moments for grandparents meeting their grandchild for the first time, for families getting together, for, you know, all these, and you just, you know, it's heart-wrenching and uplifting the role travel plays in helping society to heal. And the campaign's really a celebration of the role Vrbo plays in that, but a moment where people can start to get back together. And we're really excited for what comes next for society and also for Vrbo.
Is it sort of heart-wrenching and uplifting, similar to Airbnb's ad campaign, where the films that they made, and I'm being sarcastic, but what's your take on their ad campaign that they put so much emphasis on?
Listen, there's always going to be plenty of advertising in a space as competitive as the travel space. And more than anything, I am thrilled with how much cut through Vrbo has gotten in the past year. It's allowed us to invest more. It's allowed us to grow our direct relationships with consumers. And I think really solidify that this is a category that we started 25 years ago. And this is a moment that's custom made for our value proposition. It's about families, it's about groups, it's about whole homes, it's about, you know, resort, lake, river, beach destinations. And we're making the most of it and excited for how many people are going to choose to repeat through us in the years to come.
What gives you confidence that they're going to repeat through you? And going to the original question, that you can keep this momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, 25 years of data is pretty confidence inspiring on this topic. And so the category and to some extent our brand has suffered from a lack of awareness. And so we've consolidated our US position around the Vrbo brand. That's allowed us to grow our awareness, to basically grow our presence of that proposition. But what we've always seen is that when families try a whole home rental for the first time, they love it. The net promoter score is through the roof. They tell their friends, they repeat, and they're frequently traveling. We may have the credit card information for one booker, but it might be, 2 sets of grandparents, 3 families, and 7 grandkids. There's a lot of repeat occasions built into that. And the pandemic has given us, a bigger database and a lot of happy travelers who we think are going to choose to come back and use us again. I think it'll be supplemental to prior use cases. I don't think this is a replacement effect.
So tell us about, Wouter was talking from Skift Research, was talking before about how Skift Research estimates that Vrbo sales are probably on par with Booking.com at this point. That's a big change. How would you assess your competitive position today? So, for example, in terms of listings, you're probably less than 1/3 the size of Airbnb. How do you view your position at this point?
Yeah, that's not a primary lens for me. The global listing battle is something that I would have spent a lot of time on in 2012, and it's not something I spend a lot of time on in 2021. We think about ourselves as being the premier travel platform for complex family travel. And we think if we can solve the use case of getting away with your parents, your children, another family, it's the hardest use case in travel. If you can make your in-laws, your kids, everyone happy on a trip, you can solve any use case. And so we obsess on it. What we're seeing right now is that in being great at that, we think we're taking share in all of our core markets. We think we're taking share in mountain markets, beach markets, river, lake. And, there's been a lot of tailwind for us in this moment, but we think a lot of that share gain's sticky. And overwhelmingly, whether I talk to individual hosts or professional hosts, they're telling us that we're in a better position than we were in 2019 in terms of share of their businesses.
So there has been a dramatic strategy shift for Vrbo since the beginning of the pandemic. I remember listening to CEO Peter Kern of Expedia Group, the parent company, talking early in the pandemic when a lot of hosts were pissed off at Airbnb for their cancellation refund policies, that he wouldn't seek to take advantage of that. He wouldn't take advantage of their pain. So let's play an ad that you're currently running to get at some of the change.
If you only list your vacation home on Airbnb, you might attract someone looking for a quaint little studio. But if you list it on Vrbo, you'll attract families looking for a bit more, and who spend over twice as much more. Your dream guests await. Become a Vrbo host today.
Jeff, I'm appalled. No more Mr. Nice Guy. What happened?
Hey,
going right after Airbnb.
Yeah. One, hey, what a beautiful spot. And, I really am proud of what we're doing. And here's the twist I'd put on it. We're responding to hosts that want our help. When the phone starts ringing and emails start coming in and people are saying, we want your help, we're looking for an opportunity to diversify who we work with, we've hurt, we feel betrayed, we feel like the trust is broken, and there's a cold start program. They got all this equity built up on a single platform, and we can help. And so we started testing this in mid to late 2020. We realized that we had an opportunity to actually provide incentives to help these hosts get started with us, and then also to help them build a better, more reliable business model. And so, if the phone hadn't ring, I don't think we would have, necessarily picked this as go after and create someone else's pain. But we view ourselves as doing something that's really good for the marketplace and for partners, and we're going to keep doing it.
So we did a poll. Let's see the results of this. Will Vrbo's growth accelerate in the next 12 months? Yes, 84%. It will flatten, 10%. It will decelerate, just 5%. So, Jeff, the crowd is with you in terms of momentum.
Well, a lot of tailwinds. Glad to hear public support's behind us, too.
2. So you did launch a fast start program. directed at wooing Airbnb superhosts to come over. Now's your chance. Tell us how many actually did.
We've had thousands sign up since we launched the program. We're not going to be disclosing the actual number or updating it every day, month, week, or quarter. But the important thing for us is that the word's getting out, and we're helping that. But I think more importantly, the hosts and partners in that also. It's not a lot of incremental effort to add a platform and, really do a lot better as a business. And we want to fill that need. And so we're going to keep expanding the program. We think there's different vectors it can go, and we're excited to really invest behind it.
So you mentioned a couple of minutes ago something about, hosts are coming over because of your business model advantage. What's different about your business model?
I think that the I wouldn't say it's a commercial business model advantage so much as it's two different things. We've always been a platform that provided more flexibility for our partners. A lot of that is the heritage of 25 years and the way we grew up. But in general, we provide more flexibility in terms of how partners can work with us. And I think about that as the policies they set, the type of rates models they want to use, that sort of thing. Additionally, we're targeted at an audience that a lot of people who are renting out their whole home. Very typically, this is the second largest store of value in their family's financial portfolio. And they want to attract, respectful family guests. And that is what we're out to do each day, every day. And so a lot of people also view that as an advantage, is that one, it's not, it's minimal more effort, it's more money, and it's probably less wear and tear because of who we're targeting and what we want to do in terms of a traveler profile.
So you have been adding, you said you don't focus on global listings growth, but AirDNA numbers show that, so far this year, you've added your listings increased by about 21%. Airbnb's increased by just 1%. But everyone is now talking about an upcoming supply shortage this summer when the travel rebound occurs. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to attract enough hosts? And what are you going to do if you run out of supply?
Yeah, I mean, you really you can't solve for there's not enough homes in the Outer Banks for all the people that want to go to the Outer Banks this summer. There's no solution. Some people are going to have to not be able to go to the Outer Banks this summer. And so I do encourage everyone, wherever they're trying to go, to book your travel early this year and take advantage of flexible policies. What we want to do on the topic is make it easier to shop the category. We want to add more inventory, and that's why we've launched initiatives like we have. And we're really pleased with how fast our inventory is growing, but it's a long game. And so we're investing for the long haul. And when we think about numbers like what you referenced, the good news is most of that growth is happening in places where we can really provide demand. We're not trying to puff up a vanity number. We're trying to solve Outer Banks. We're trying to solve Breckenridge. We're trying to solve the south of France. We're trying to solve, any number of these drive-to destinations where we think families really need us. And that's where we put the emphasis. If that's 5% or 20% listing growth, the important thing is it's partners we can help and travelers who want a great home that we offer.
I'm going to get to some audience questions in a second, but first, if you do run out of supply, is there you've been focused on vacation rentals. Is there a chance that you're going to expand into other types of inventory?
Yeah, I would. I don't think we'll be great at it for the summer. I would like for our site to increasingly represent lodging types that are great for families, regardless of whether it's a whole home or not. And so I think of Vrbo as being a complex family travel site that leads with a whole home point of view. But, when my family goes to Orlando for Disney World, there's a chance we're going to stay in a resort. When we go, to California or Hawaii, there's a chance we stay in a resort. There's a great chance we stay in a home. And we want to make it easier to cross-shop those occasions so families can get what is best for whatever their use case is. And that's something that's longer-term horizon. Immediately this summer, we'll be playing with things around how can we introduce people to the Expedia Group family of sites for use cases where our inventory may get thin, and see if we can find a great, resort, hotel, or alternate use case that works well for their occasion.
So there's an audience question about short-term rentals impact on communities. So how will marketing OTAs demonstrate appropriate behaviors, good neighbor guests in such a way to help mitigate the community's efforts now to regulate the short-term rentals to the point of limited days, limiting density of homes? More and more communities want the industry to die.
I don't in our core markets, I don't see this as a trend that's, changed. And if anything, it's probably gotten better during the pandemic. The value of this type of inventory and the value tourism plays in a lot of these tertiary destinations, beach resort mountain destinations is through the roof. And so this hasn't been a heightened area of conversation. I think it's largely been an urban topic where, we support responsible regulation. And we've been working with a very consistent approach, unlike others in the space, to have responsible regulation that favors property rights for a very long time. And, we are about primary home rentals. We know that there's always going to be use cases where that's more or less challenged, but we think we've gotten some good outcomes in Hawaii, some good outcomes in San Diego, and there's always something we can build from. And so I don't think there's existential threat here, but I do think that the industry has to address what are, legitimate concerns and be sure we keep getting better, smarter, and working with governments every year. And Expedia Group's committed to do that.
So, Vrbo dropped out of Google Vacation Rentals, and you're also reducing your exposure in some of the other vacation rental meta-search platforms like Home2Go. Wilder from Skift Research was just talking about how meta-search appears to be doing well coming out of the pandemic. So what is the significance of your approach?
When we think about our marketing profile, it's all about incrementality. So where do we spend money and what's the next best incremental thing for the long-term health of our business? What we saw in this moment was that if you're going to be supply constrained, we want to be in a position where we're booking that through the channels that provide the best experience for us. And so in the US, we've made some moves. This is all testing. We don't view anything as having been permanent, but it's a category that's tough to crush up just on price. And you mentioned it even within some of the existing platforms. And so what we want to do is work with partners to be sure we're providing a merchandising experience that really shows off the quality of the experience and the home, beyond a map pin and a dollar sign. And we want to do that in a way that furthers the growth of the category. We're using this moment to reevaluate and be sure we're doing something that's incremental for our partners and a good experience for travelers.
Got it. Another audience question. Any changes coming in the review process? The lack of effective two-way review makes me nervous renting $1 million homes to unvetted guests. I'm not sure how many people are renting $1 million homes, but what do you have to say about the review process?
Certainly a lot of the homes are worth more than $1 million, but we don't do a lot of $1 million rentals. I think we've got a review process that enables you after each booking for the host or partner to review the traveler and vice versa. And we believe it's working. We're always iterating on making that a smoother, better process. We do offer $1 million liability protection. We offer secure communications platforms. And so we think we're a very responsible platform. And, I'd be pretty confident that most high value homes choose Vrbo as their primary, if not exclusive source of bookings.
Jeff, 15 seconds left. Marriott Homes and Villas, are you feeling their impact in the market?
I'm really happy that there are, hotels taking it seriously in a way that helps to shine a light on the category and get more people to explore whole homes. And if people can use their Marriott or Bonvoy points to stay in a home, I think they're more likely to want to book a home through us in the future. And, that all smells like opportunity for the category and for Vrbo.
Rising tides lift all vacation rentals. Jeff, we're out of time. Thank you so much.
Look forward to seeing you in person sometime. And thank you, Dennis.
Okay, you're welcome.